Hello. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of SAWO Vibe Check. Today we're discussing about starting and growing DevRel teams. SAWO Vibe Check is a video podcast where we discuss everything business, tech, and communities. And for today, we have a very special guest with us. Uh, she's been an inspiration for a lot of us. I've actually known her for a while. I finally got the chance to actually get her on my show, and I can't wait to have her here because she spent 9 years in Devon. She's currently a team lead at OutSystems, and she's also mentoring a lot of people that I know in Devil and helping them grow right from Devil professional to Devil leaders. Her journey is very inspirational, and I can't wait you guys for you to guys to listen to her from her own words. So if I can have Vera, who's our guest today on this stage. Hi Vera, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Cherish. It's a pleasure to be here today and have a chat with you and everyone listening to your show. So, thank you.
Excellent. We've been waiting for you to actually join this, and I'm glad. We got things got rescheduled, but now that we finally have you, it's
So
super
cool.
awesome.
You
Um,
really know how to make people feel like superstars. So, thank you. Thank you for that.
yeah, I get paid for that. That's true. But yeah, so there are a lot of people in Indian ecosystem, especially since OutSystem has kind of grown in Indian community, have looked up to you for inspiration. Yash, who's like a friend, joined your community, and you've been spoken highly of within our close circles. I think it probably stems from your journey, right? Like somebody who's just started as a one-member team and is now like managing a full-blown DevRel team. So I think everybody's interested to know everything about you. So maybe start with, like your journey and tell us anything you would really want to.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah. So first, I joined OutSystems not to be a DevRel professional or a community manager. So I started at OutSystems to be a software developer. So that's who I am, right? Former software developer. But at a certain point, it happened that I went to this role, to build community, to serve developers. And this was not even an area or a department or a team, right? When actually our system started to do community, we didn't even know that we were building community. So let me tell you a quick story about it. So a few years ago, we didn't have a support team like we have today, right? So today we have the support team that is about providing support to our end users. But that time we didn't have. So we have a very specific goal, which was not building community per se, but was about providing online support to the end users. And that was when we launched the forums. And actually, the forums was a channel for us to connect with the end users, reply to their queries, support them during their journey.
Mhm.
But it was not meant to be a place for them to connect or to interact or to exchange information. So we were not that visionary. But yeah, it was a team of one, right? Everyone doing all the job and heavy lifting. So it was funny times. So my job when I started was mainly managing the community online, doing developer onboarding, doing developer training and education, uh, you know reaching out to internal people like engineers that were building the product to answer questions in the community. So I was kind of doing some community building because I was already helping the community members, but we were not seeing as community, right? Even my job role by that time was developer evangelist, right? Because we
Mhm.
wanted to grow the community of developers, but that was not a huge focus by then. Of course, everything changed after a few months.
Interesting. So I know this, like, it holds true for a lot of OGs or like old timers in Devil that Devil happened to them. Like,
Hmm.
I think as the industry grew, they realized that this person probably suits this role the best, right? And they kind of had like a natural shift, never really necessarily looked for a job in Devil, as say, so to say.
Hmm.
Um, So you started with a journey of one, and today, tell us more about what you do today. How does your day to day look like? How have you grown the team? And we're happy to know that.
Yeah. So yeah, today I'm a team lead. So what I do is I make sure that my team has all the conditions. They don't have roadblocks to do their job. So actually, they have a more close contact to the field. And when I say field, is the end user than me. So I'm kind of backstage right now, trying to make sure they can do their job well. Yeah, but at a certain point, I was just only one. So it was me doing the heavy lifting and my boss, my manager, which was, the visionary, let's say. So there was the guy that had the vision, and it was a huge mentor to me. So by that time, we were, we were struggling a lot because of the amount of things that we have in our hands, and we felt the need to scale the team, right? So we
Mhm.
needed to we had so many tactics that we wanted to try out, programs that we want to launch. So we really believe that developers were the way. So we really want to invest in community. By that time, it was community was a thing on our heads, but it was really hard, to make a case for why we should grow the team, why you should get budget to continue invest on those. And that is mostly because OutSystems is a B2B company, so
Mhm.
we target the buyer persona, right? So the
Mhm.
marketing efforts are towards the business people, let's say. But in the end, the people that use the product is developers, right? So, and the way that we can provide value to that business people that you are selling is if developers are productive, right?
Exactly.
So by the time, what we did was we sit down for a few days and we start writing down a strategy. So it was around creating a compelling story. So I think it's a fundamental piece for everyone that is trying to get, buy-in from, investors or even the management, is to write down a strategy and why they believe that is the right thing to do, right? And nowadays there's a lot of content that can you help you build that narrative, right? Because
Mhm.
as you know, Cherish, DevRel can have impact in many areas of the business now. But I can tell you what was ours. So we built that narrative. We also created visuals, right? Because when you are trying to sell an idea, it's very important that you have visuals, right? We have kind of a diagram. I still have that slide, by the way. So it was about our main pillars for our team. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to attract new developers. So we built a strategy around 3 E's, which was excite, educate, and experience, right? So it was Excite, it was about attracting new developers through a community-led approach. It was about educating developers on how to use our products so that they can be successful. So it was about content strategy,
Mhm.
but also about a good way to provide them support on forums, and also the experience, which was more about ideation, right? So no one
Mhm.
wants to build an API, a framework, or a product that developers don't want to use, right? So we needed the
Absolutely. Yeah.
feedback for the end users for us to continue evolve our product. So we built the narrative, we designed that diagram, and we presented to management, and they were surprised. They were, "Oh my God, this makes perfect sense, right?" Because
Mm.
of course we said what management wanted to hear, right? Because we
Mhm.
kind of mapped out everything that we wanted to do, our programs,
Mm.
right? Because together with the strategy, we had the tactics, we had some target numbers, but in the end, it all goes to two specific goals that are very important for a company to survive, which is revenue and
Mhm.
customer satisfaction, right? Those important pieces. I think community, can have a huge impact on those, right?
True.
So our story was around how our efforts will have an impact on revenue and on customer satisfaction. So by that time, the challenge was we didn't have data to prove that
Mm.
what you were saying was right. So the only thing that we had was um, an hypothesis, right? So we created an hypothesis that if we do this, in 3 months we will have this, in 6 months you will see this, right? So we kind of, did a commitment, like this
Mhm.
is our plan, right? Short time plan and long time plan. So it was very well prepared, and it was when we got the approval for an extra headcount. So
Mhm.
we were able to hire the first person. So instead of being a team of one, we created a second. We hired a second person to help us roll out all the tactics that we want.
Mhm.
And spoilers alert. One of the things that really worked for us was our super users program. And of
Mhm.
course, Cherish, I could be here, talking for 2 hours about how super users program are so awesome, but also very challenging.
Mhm.
But that was a huge differentiator for us at the beginning, because we didn't have the budget, we didn't have the people, so we
Mhm.
had to create an army of people,
Mhm.
willing to work with us, very close to us, like being our extended team, to go to forums, reply to questions, creating content for awareness, participating in events, organizing events. So I think that was a huge pillar for us to start scaling our team. And then what we did was, as we were evolving our things, as we were creating value to the end users, and at the same time we were able to track metrics and data, we were able to build reports that we could present to the management and continue to prove our existence, right? And in the beginning was very, very manual. So we had spreadsheets, a lot of spreadsheets, because there were different data that we were, getting from different places, different sources. We were also, paying attention to evaluation stories. So every
Mhm.
new prospect or customer that evaluates OutSystems and eventually uh, buy OutSystems, bought OutSystems, they kind of had a touch point with community, right? So it was,
Yeah.
see, we are helping our
Yeah.
prospects to evaluate us. So we are also having an impact on sales. And I think the two things important, or the two things more important for you to be able to scale a team is, first you need to create a compelling narrative for you to get a
Mhm.
buy-in, right? And communicate your results or the things that you are going to do. So
Mhm.
in many teams that I see nowadays, because I speak with a lot of people from the industry, because what I feel right now is I'm in a bubble for a while, so I'm without systems, for almost a decade, right? So I feel like I almost forget my life before this. So I try to create these connections with people that are doing the same as us, to try to understand how they are doing it, right? And one of the things that I noticed when you talk to a team that is a team of one, is people really struggle to prove their value. And what I think it happens in most of the cases is people forget to communicate what they are doing, right? Forget to communicate in the way that um, they can show the value of the work that they are doing. So they kind of assume everyone knows what they do, right? What is the impact of that? So what I say is, of course, you should not spam people, right? Every time you say, "Oh, we have a user group. Yes, let's do this. Tomorrow we are going to have another one." So don't spam people, but don't forget to communicate your results and the things that you are that you accomplish over time. So it's
Mhm.
communication and building a narrative. It's very, very, very important for
Fair
you
enough.
if you want to scale the team. And let me say that building the narrative and the strategy, so creating strategy, is important at the beginning, of course, but
Mhm.
it's important along the way, because I think I
Mhm.
see this as cycles, right? I'm in the same company, and I feel that is cycles, right? So maybe sometimes something changes, so or you get or you go to another department, or the direction of the company changes, so you kind of need to get back to the drawing board and redo your strategy and probably adapt to the direction of the company. So having that flexibility to adapt and to rewrite your strategy along the time is what will dictate if you are successful or not
You
on
said
this
something
job.
very interesting about product feedback. And sorry, if
Yeah,
I'm
no,
interrupting.
sure, sure.
But I got the 2 points that you said, right? Like building a narrative and second, communicating what your
Hmm.
KPIs or indicators are. Now, I was, fairly lucky that my founder, Prabhat, is fairly visionary about the understanding of community, and he's using community to not just create that feedback loop that you spoke about, right, where you improve the
Hmm.
product using community, and he understands that, right, that community is usually the forerunner before sales
Hmm.
step in, because if the developers has had a touch point with the community and they've used the product, then it becomes easier for the decision maker to write a check to the company because the developer has already been used to it, prefers that tool, and is willing to use it if comes to that. So I'm very happy that way. But I do see and touches bases on what you said, right? That a lot of people are still struggling to defend their value, and they don't even know where to start the team, right? Like you were lucky to have a mentor who identified this is a space to actually bring a team, but very quickly, if you were to identify top three things, or maybe couple few things that any new team leader should be on the look for to understand this is a space to start a DevRel community. Like
Hmm.
anything that is happening in the company, if he realizes that is happening, identifies it, maybe it's the time to actually jump the gun and build a community or start a DevRel team. What must those things be, or what were they
Uh,
were for you?
yeah. So yeah, very good question, Cherish. By the way, I think it depends on the stage that the community that the company is. So, for example, as developer relation can exist in different departments. So it can be marketing departments nowadays or recently, because of this pandemic. I think there's a lot of teams moving to the marketing department because people see that is an effective way of doing marketing and reach out to new people. But yeah, but it can be product like engineering,
Mhm.
it can be customer success, right? Because right now there's also this new department which is customer success in some companies. So for a person that is, saying that, okay, DevRel is the way, or creating community is the way, but the company doesn't see it, what that person needs to do is talk with different departments, right? So kind of see what are the big gaps, so the things that the company is struggling or trying to address,
Mhm.
and see where they can start with a narrative. Because again, you can help across the board, right, in many things, but I think people need to identify, okay, so what is the thing that I will focus, so that I can get buy-in to kind of do everything. It in fact, for us, it was customer success, right? Customer support. We were very focused on the support that we were giving online. So the time to get a reply, the time to get a solution, what was the satisfaction interacting in that channel, and how that resulted in software, in the satisfaction in building software with our tool. So it was kind of customer success, let's say, right?
Mhm.
But we we put the narrative, everything that we could have impact, but it's important to focus on one thing, because if you try to over justify, kind of can become messy, right? Because, I can help in this and this, and then the hard questions will arise, and you need to be ready to answer those questions. So I would say, as an advice, talk with different departments around, see what are the problems that they are trying to solve, and see how you can help, right? Because if you are starting, you don't want to, you don't have the authority to dictate, let's do this, this is the way. You don't see, you are blind, this is the way, right? So you kind of need to position yourself as a way to, okay, you need to solve this, let me support you because I have this idea, or I have this strategy, and I want to get your opinion on if this would work for you or not. So it's kind of, how can I support you? But of course, we need to identify what makes more sense. Probably is the area of the company that is underserved. So I don't know if it is a new product. and people really want, okay, so this is a product or an API. We want to grow this API, or to evolve, or maybe to create new APIs. I don't know, right? Probably you need product ideation and feedback. So maybe you should focus on, products. But if there's kind of a well-established tool that is being used and you already have a few customers, probably you want to focus on customer success and supporting your customers, or make sure make the end users of your tool or platform helping each other, right? And creating meaningful connections, because again, it's just not about the technology, right? It's about the way you empower people, using your
Absolutely.
technology, your product. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Product or customer support, depends upon where you stand in the system.
Hmm.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. So okay, so consider this: like there must be a few companies who currently have a customer support team, are definitely a B2B company, and they have not thought of building a DevRel team, right? They realize that customer support itself is going well. Um, two questions. First part of the question is, what if OutSystems never had like a DevRel team? What if they just went through the customer support route? What have they missed on?
That
First
is
question.
no, that is amazing question, and actually that is one of the things that we also use as a sanity check, right? We don't need to prove our value right now anymore. So thankfully we are in a good place right now. But yeah, regarding customer success in specific, so we just tell you a few metrics that we track. So right now in forums, um, our customers get free support, very quickly. So it's the community working. It's not us. So it's not developer advocacy or engineering replying on that. It's just about members helping each other, and of course our brilliant super users
Yeah, I
that
think
are
that's when
there
you
every
reach
day.
the beautiful community when peers start supporting
Yeah,
your help with the peers. That's it. Yeah,
yeah.
very
So
good.
and we actually have these metrics of first time to reply and time to solution. So we kind of, report those metrics, and we say how many solutions were created by the community every day. And we do the math, how many people were needed in the
Hmm.
support team to be able to do that work with that time of response, with that amount of solutions. And if you do the math of, how many people do you need to pay to provide this type of support, you can show how much the company is saving in support, just for support, right? Because there's much more than support right now. So there's many more areas that we can help, including product ideation. But yeah, just this specific thing, which was the thing, by the way, that we focus on at the beginning. So at the beginning, when I was a team of one, our response time was very bad. It was an average of 3 days, I think. So
Oh my
just
God.
just for the reply, right? Because some questions were easy, some of them were, oh my god, I need to check with this team, and I need to find their availability to reply to this. So the average was really really bad. So 3 days. I don't even remember the time to solution, because if the time to first reply was 3 days, imagine the time to solution, because
Three
there's
years.
you need some interactions at the beginning to understand the problem, right?
True.
So, and we reduce the time to first reply from 3 days, and today we have less than 2 hours. So it's
Wow.
pretty impressive.
Beautiful.
And
That's
we have a support team,
hard.
Cherish, by the way. So we have a support team that helps our customers to troubleshoot the most complicated cases. So we also have paid support. But for, let's say, development questions, how do I do this without systems? We rely on the community for free. Um,
Hmm.
that's pretty very. I'm very proud of that, by the way.
That is definitely worth being proud for. That's fantastic. Those numbers, if that doesn't prove the value, I don't know what does. Uh, that's great, right? Okay, so right now, tell us more about the team that you handle. How do you how do you divide the work, or is it just
Mhm.
like customer support, or do you also proactively build something so that though developers don't even come up with questions? Do you do proactive checks also? Tell us more
So
about the team. Yeah.
yeah, so let me explain how our team is organized, because actually this is a topic that I'm very interested for, because there's no every team is the same, so is different. So depending on the company that you are, developer relations team have a different organization or focus, right? So ours, we have the developer advocates, and
Mm-hmm.
then we have the community managers. So the community managers are the ones that create the programs, and and make sure that that we have ways to connect the members, to support them. So they kind of run the user group program, run the external advocacy programs like the MVP program and the Champions program. They run our educations program, and then we have the technical people, which is the developer advocates, which are the ones that are speaking at conferences, creating content, whether it's blog articles, educational blog articles, or components, so reusable components for people to use. We also have a few advocates focus on creating video content for build and excite, kind of the thing that, okay, we have educational content on more advanced topics, but we also have that type of content that a developer that doesn't know about OutSystems see, oh,
Mm-hmm.
how can I consume a REST API with OutSystems? Oh, nice. This is how they do it, right? So it's kind of creates kind of awareness and excitement about our product. And then we have some developer advocates that are closer to the product, which is making sure developers have a voice when we are building our or evolving our platform. So let's say you have three areas, which is awareness and acquisition. I hate to call it acquisition, but it is what it is, right? It's acquire new members. So it's awareness and acquisition, is adoption and expansion. So it's engagement part, and then it's about retention and creating advocates. So we want to create fans of our product, and for that we need to provide the great user
Value.
experience or developer experience. So we have in specific one advocate that is always making our product team lives really hard because they're, oh my god, you should not do this way because our developers will be mad. So she's the one starting internal fight just to make sure that we have the right track for 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 the product. So we have 5 developer advocates right now, including me. So I also produce some content, right, around developers while I'm managing the team.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I've interacted with your content, so I'm pretty happy with that. In fact, like especially our system has been actually being funded lately. In fact, February was the last time, just a few months ago, that you picked up another round of funding. So, and I think the funding round has been, increased, and just goes on to say that what a great job you guys have been doing,
Oh,
and
thank you.
and the faith in the market is just constantly increasing. That's where I want to take some time and ask any questions, if see if any we have any questions from the community. um, I think, yeah, this is a great question that I wanted to ask. I'm glad somebody asked it. So Siddharth asked, what are your suggestions for someone who is getting into DevRel and just started? How can one learn the most from the process of entering the DevRel space?
Yeah,
What are your
so I think for someone that is a developer or someone that has some empathy for the tech space, I
thoughts?
think it would be easy, right? I think it's a matter of starting checking out the content that is out there.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of companies producing content, including yours, right? There's a lot of shows and podcasts right now that people can check out. But more important than just consuming content to educate themselves about what are the opportunities in their real space, is about connecting people. So it's about you finding your community, right
Mhm.
now you have CMX, you have DevRel Con, we have community club, right, which is kind of generic communities like community world, community management world.
True.
But then in every of those communities, you have a space for developer relations. So it's very important that you find those communities, you engage in there, you find the people that you feel more, empathize with, reach out to them, schedule calls, try to understand what are the opportunities, because there's plenty of jobs right there. So I think there's an increase of jobs and opportunities, in mostly because of this pandemic, right? Because people
True.
realize right now the power of meaningful connections. That's what
Absolutely.
community is, right? Okay,
True.
people have interest, they want to be successful in their job using a product or a
Mhm.
service or a framework, but in the end they want more, right? They are looking for more than this transactional, thing, which is they want to feel that they belong. So it's the same for someone to start, right? You need to find your space,
Mhm.
start connecting with people at the same time, check the content that is created by DevRel for example. So DevRel
Yeah.
is a huge reference to me because it was the first conference I attended in developer relations space. So it
Yeah.
was it's still very special to me. So there's DevRel Tokyo happening right now. And then there will be the DevRel I don't know, it's called Hertz. I think the generic one will
Yes.
also
November.
happen by the end of the year. So yeah, great way to connect people and to learn more about this area.
True. I'm also a huge fan. I've been fortunate to speak at DevRel twice. I have a talk tomorrow, and I'm actually talking about the same things we spoke about, right? Like what your founders and investors care about when it comes to DevRel
Hmm.
for startups per se. And I've narrowed down my scope of speaking for DevRel within startups because then I can find the KPIs fairly easily. You spoke about something very beautiful, and I feel like the pandemic kind of broke down a lot of the systems which were not working. It just exposed
Hmm.
a lot of inefficiencies in the market. Like people have realized how expensive it was to keep support staff throughout the world and keep them running,
Hmm.
and have and still have like a tat of 3 days, as you said. But now
Yeah.
we're now building communities where not just like your people or DevRel experts are helping, but peers are helping each other, and it's just growing, at a space that nobody thought. I think we have one more question. We'll take that. Prathmesh. Prathmesh is a great, fan of the community, so I'm glad he's here. He's asking what are some technical or product development tasks that you do as a developer advocate, working along with other developers. That's a great question.
It is. It is. So yeah, let me explain a bit how our product works, which I'm swear this is not marketing. It's just for me to to explain how it works. So we have this product which is a closed technology, right? So that you can develop code, and you can develop reusable pieces of code that will help developers be more productive. So one of the things that our team does, the developer advocacy, we have a tactic which is called innovation lab,
Mhm,
where we create stuff to share with the community. For example, imagine there is a new AWS service coming, right? So
mhm.
it's a service, exists on the cloud. You can leverage the power of AWS cloud, etc. But you still need to create the wrapper in OutSystems to
Yeah.
be able to consume that service, right? So that is the type of thing that we do. So we build that connector. We
Mhm.
publish on our Forge, which is our code repository, let's say, free. So it's open source. People can download and change the code as they want. So our team produces codes, to code repository as a way of innovation and to help developers being more productive, right? Because if imagine that you are building an application that needs that will benefit from that service from AWS, you just need to download the code, put your credential, and it's working, right? That's the kind of thing that we do. Um, that we do in terms
That's
of code development or product development. We don't develop our product per se, so we don't So we don't involve our product. So the OutSystems platform, we don't touch there. Of course, there was a few ideas in the past that, maybe you should, let the advocacy team help on that, because we can just put our hands on it and solve this thing that is very annoying to developers. But yeah, that's so our engineering team is pretty huge right now and pretty amazing. So we rely on them, to make the right things,
True,
to
true.
involve our products. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we do too. Yeah, makes sense. That's fantastic. I think Vera, this has been a great conversation, for us, and really thankful for you to be here and share your insights with us. Just before we go, tell us how can people reach out to you in case they have any questions or they just want to connect on network. I'm sure like a lot of people will happily
Okay.
reach out to you, but let
Uh,
us know and we'll put your links in the comments maybe.
yeah, so I'm mainly on Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm
Hmm.
not very active on Twitter, but if you, message me, I will reply for sure. I'm also at the CMX Slack workspace, also DevRel and community club Slack workspace, so Slack overload. Yeah, so I on those channels. So if anyone wants to reach out, I'm more than happy to have on one-on-one conversations and to share some ideas. So feel
Yeah,
free to reach out,
excellent.
people.
Excellent. I also learned Vera is at another special place, a place where all of us are at. It's SAWO Channel's Discord channel, SAWO's
Oh
Discord.
yeah, it is. It is.
So we'll put our, we'll
I'm
flash.
already in there, by the way. So it's new for me, but I'm already there. So yeah, find me there
Excellent.
too.
Fantastic. So we'll flash our Discord channel's link, in the description, and you can join us there. With that, I want to thank you so much, Vera, for taking out the time and sharing your insights with us. We will summarize this in a blog as well, and we'll share that with people, people who like to read. But I'm so glad you could take out the time, and I wish you all the best. I'll follow your career as I always have, and I can't wait for you to do all the cool things that you already are doing. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Cherish. It was really, amazing to be here and have this chat with you. And I'm waiting for you in Lisbon, by the way. So just need to come.
Yeah, I hope my team is hearing that. So I can fund it.
Come and
Great.
visit Lisbon. You will enjoy,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
we will. Awesome. Thanks, Vera. Take care and nice to see you again. Take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you. And bye bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you for joining us.